Well, greetings and welcome. It is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you getting underway on this March 16th broadcast, one day before the great feast of St. Patrick. The world calls it St. Patrick's Day. We will call it the Feast of St. Patrick. We remember the saint. Well, a lot of the world just kind of lets that go by the wayside. But anyway, I'm Jerry Usher with Debbie Georgiani and you. Can't believe, Debbie, we are already into the second half of this month.
And Lent, thank goodness.
And Lent, yeah. Flying right along.
Oh, yeah, can't come soon enough. Easter Sunday, I'll tell you. Lent's tough. It's a tough season for a lot of people. There's a lot of spiritual warfare, a lot of things that come at us. And I can't wait to celebrate Resurrection Day. Well, to go through also the Triduum. Triduum is my favorite shortest season of the liturgical calendar, Jerry. How do you love the Triduum too, right?
I do. Actually, Holy Thursday is my favorite day of the year just because that's when Christ gave us the priesthood and the Eucharist. So I love Holy Thursday.
Yep, absolutely. But so we're talking about relationships today. This is our All About Relationships show. And so we were just sharing about how we feel actually about God. That's a relationship, right? Our should be our most important relationship is our relationship with God. And we want to hear about you. So tell us any relationship that you want to talk about, you want to ask questions about, you want some helpful hints and advice. We are life coaches. So we're happy to receive your call. Any relationship we can talk about, even the relationship you have with your pets. Yep, that is correct. You do have a relationship with your pets. So we want to talk about it today on our monthly All About Relationships show here on Take Two. And here's the number. Start filling up the phone lines. This is a very popular show. We learn a lot from this particular monthly episode. 833-288-3986.
Yeah, Debbie mentioned your relationship with God. Has that deepened during Lent? We'd love to hear about that. That's one of the purposes of Lent, is to grow in our relationship with God. Also, so many of you are married. If you have a spousal relationship, good or bad, if you'd like to just call in and tell the world how awesome your spouse is and how great your relationship is, that's fine. Maybe you've got a little bit of strife or tension going on. You know, we can, as Debbie said, kind of talk that through. You go to work, you go to the office every day or your workplace, you have relationships with your coworkers or maybe a boss, and maybe one of those is in need of a little adjustment. Neighbors, the people across the fence from you, any relationship, like Debbie said, a child, a spouse, a distant relative, just a friend or a neighbor. 833-288-3986.
I'm giggling about that because you talk about the relationship with the neighbor across the fence, and it was interesting. I just heard recently from a friend of mine that she's having a dispute with her neighbor about the trees that are on right leaning up against the wall. We have walls, not fences, here in Arizona, and they're having some issues with some things happening with the roots and all sorts of stuff. So it's causing a lot of tension, to say the least, and a lot of friction and a lot of problems because the kids are friends. And so, this is just sad. We live in such a difficult world, folks. And Jerry and I, in the life coaching ministry we see it all the time. People come to us saying, why can't we just have peace? Why can't we just have, just a sense of calm, and not all this chaos? Well, if we're off focus, if we're not focusing on God first, you're going to have all sorts of things happen because people have their own egos, their pride, their own personalities that weigh into things, and you're not really going to have a sense of order and peace and calm. And so it's a problem, and it's a problem worldwide. But it comes down to our communities, Jerry, right in our neighborhoods, right in our parish community. I heard of something recently, a couple months ago actually, where there's a kind of a fight going on with two ministries at a parish. I mean, that's not good. I mean, these relationships need to be worked out, and that's why we're doing this show. So any relationship is on the table to talk about. Please call in. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. We need your participation. 833-288-3986.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Debbie. You and I both have worked on the parish level, you much more than I have, and we certainly have had experience of how parish politics can get pretty nasty and ugly at times. It's unfortunate, but you got to figure, the enemy is trying to get in there and put a wedge between people and ministries. But today on the show, folks, any relationship at all that you would like to discuss, you can be kind of vague. You don't have to give specifics. You don't have to give names. But you know what? You could come away from this broadcast today with a tool or two or three, or maybe an idea or a challenge. Debbie likes to give challenges in how you can better that relationship. And really, with each relationship that gets better, your quality of life gets better, and you learn how to work on those other relationships as well. So please do join us. Phones are ringing. Matt Gabensky is screening calls already. A couple lines are still open, however, at 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986.
And we can start the conversation here, but if you'd like to continue the conversation, you can always get a free consultation at standtalltoday.com. That's our life coaching ministry. And we will happily be there to assist and walk with you and create a plan so you can have better relationships in your life. Jesus wants us to have life and to have it to the full. That means abundance. God wants that for us. He wants us to have just a beautiful, rich life and have many experiences, and so that we can learn and grow. That's what Take Two is all about. We're learning and growing together. This is the mystical body of Christ in action. This is a safe platform for us to come together and share our lived experiences, our hearts, our concerns, our dreams, our wishes, and we grow together. And we have to imagine that all of heaven delights when we work together as a family. So with that, you got to call in 833-288-3986.
Yeah, we also want to hear from you with your topic suggestions. You can go to take2show.com and click the Submit Today button and put in a topic suggestion for what? Well, we're having You Choose Week, the last week of next month, April 24th through 28th. You pick the topics all 5 days during that week. So submit a topic you would like to hear discussed on the program, and yours could be selected. Again, just go to take2show.com and hit the Submit Today button. Could be any sort of topic, maybe one that we've covered before, maybe one that you don't think that we have covered before, or something that you're going through in your life, because that's what this show, Debbie, is about. It's about real life. It's about things we all experience. So please, folks, give us your topic suggestions at take2show.com.
And but today, for All About Relationships, call in. That's important. We have a couple open phone lines just for you. If you feel that little tug in your spirit, that means you have something to say about an important relationship in your life at 833-288-3986. Please join us.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute.
Nebraska State Senator Michaela Cavanaugh is upset with a proposed heartbeat bill protecting unborn babies if a heartbeat can be detected by the abortionist. She threatened to filibuster every bill unless Republicans pull the bill. She's also upset about legislation protecting underage children from transgender hormones and surgery. Kavanaugh said, "I want to annoy you because if you want to inflict pain upon our children, I'm going to inflict pain upon this body." Does she see the irony of her statement? The heartbeat bill would protect unborn babies from a painful death by abortion. Kavanaugh boasted, "You cannot stop me." But even pro-abortion activists admit they're not likely to stop the pro-life bill. Voters in Omaha's 6th District are probably having buyer's remorse right about now.
Like us on Facebook at Life Issues and stay informed, more informed than you've ever been.
The most original and exclusive Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
I'm a Dominican, and St. Dominic was an itinerant preacher who ran around and touched people's lives by open-air preaching. The radio opens the possibilities of doing this to the entire world in a very intimate sense.
EWTN Open Line Thursday with Father Brian Mulady. This afternoon, 3 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
As always, we're so glad you're with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. It's your show, and we're going to get to your phone calls all about relationships today. any interpersonal relationship that you would like to talk about on the program. Again, you can share as many details as you want, as few as you want, no names if you want. But you've got relationships. If you're breathing and other people around you are breathing, you're in relationships. So you may have one that you'd like to talk about. 833-288-3986. We will go to Diana in Moses Lake, Washington in just a second. I just want to mention first something about Church Pop. It takes a fresh and fun look at the news shaping our world, featuring engaging, inspiring, and informative Catholic social media content. You got to check this out, folks. Church Pop, it's a service of EWTN. You'll find it on Snapchat, Instagram, and on the web at churchpop, P-O-P, churchpop.com. And you can get Church Pop directly to your email inbox. Just visit EWTN.com and click on subscribe to do that.
So we do have a couple open phone lines. This is our All About Relationships show today on Take Two. Please call us, 833-288-3986. Maybe you're feeling some tension in your home. There's some things going on. I said at the beginning of the show that Lent can be a really hard time for us as Christians. There's a lot of resistance coming our way, and that affects our relationships. Maybe your coworkers, you're sensing that there's, a little heightened agitation. Maybe that's the better word. Do you sense that right now? Let's talk about it so we can calm that. We can stop that. Put it back, down and get us refocused during the rest of Lent. 833-288-3986. Please call us if you feel like you have something to share. Diana is up first in Moses Lake, Washington on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Diana.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Great, and counting my blessings. I just came from Mass, and I listen to you every morning, and talking about relationships. My husband and I have been married for 50 years, and he is has a deacon in our church. This is September. He'll be 37 years as a deacon, and we have been blessed with a very solid marriage. Yes, there's always ups and downs in life. That's life. We need to just keep our faith when a hard time comes, and praise God even in the moments when we don't understand why things happen. But I just wanted to share that to the people that maybe don't get married because they think that it won't work or it won't last. We've been married 50 years and of ups and downs, but it's been a blessing. I consider myself extremely blessed and thankful to God because my husband is a man of God, a man I truly love, and I pray for every day. And we go to Mass daily. And I just, it's possible. It's possible to get married and to live a happy life, a full life with the children. And I've got 5 grandchildren and teaching them about God and our Blessed Mother. I just wanted to share that today.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Diana, thank you for stepping up and sharing it with others so that others can learn and understand better how wonderful the sacramental union of a husband and wife and what and how it produces such great blessings. Diana, since we have you on the line and you are the first caller, and you imparted your experience, which is wonderful. We thank you for that. Now give us a little bit of helpful kind of wisdom, tips, tools for those that are, in a marriage, contemplating getting married, and maybe they haven't seen and experienced what you have experienced. Maybe they've seen, their parents break up, or they've seen a lot of fighting, or a lot of, problems in a marriage, or trust issues. What would you say to those people that are in a marriage right now that could be problematic, or even thinking about getting married?
The first thing is I would ask, how is your prayer life? When you get married, you commit first of all, to God and to each other. But if you put Christ in the middle of your marriage, it's a threesome. Marriage is a threesome. You put it's God, you, and your husband or your wife. And if you need a prayerful life, first of all, and not just the woman or not just the man, both. And if we have a prayerful life, and also respect. I've heard of some couples that they're very disrespectful with each other, and I know that we all have our viewpoints and our ways of thinking, but when you are in holy matrimony, we have to respect each other. That doesn't mean you can't speak what you think, but, not being disrespectful, turning to God, putting God first in your life, and then respecting each other. And marriage is a sacrificial life. If you really love somebody, you're willing to sacrifice because you love that person. And if people could do those things, I really think that their marriage would get better.
Yeah. Well, Diana, it's funny. You said there are three involved. The husband and the wife and Jesus through prayer. And right as you were saying that, I was looking online. EWTN's religious catalog does carry Fulton Sheen's book, 3 to Get Married. Debbie and I promote that book very often here on this show. It's called 3 to Get Married by Bishop Fulton Sheen, and that's available at EWTNRC.com. But as you're talking, I'm just thinking, this some men and women might not understand this, but your first greatest love has to be Jesus, not your spouse. The husband and the wife, each of your first greatest love has to be Jesus, because from that, everything else flows. And you're so right, praying with each other and for each other. And we see and hear all the time, it's usually the women who are carrying the torch for the faith in the marriage. I was in my church doing my holy hour yesterday, and a lady came in. Her husband does not come to church, doesn't pray or anything like that. And I know she was there before the Lord, probably pouring her heart out on behalf of her husband and their marriage. They have a pretty good marriage, but it's not really centered on Christ. So, Diana, I think you have really made a great contribution to this program today.
Thank you. And, we just need to be a practice praying more, putting Jesus in the middle. When Jesus is the center of your life, everything surrounds everything around you. You try to see and do it through, God's eyes. What does Jesus, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus think if I did this? Or, it's putting Jesus in the middle, in the center of our life and practicing it, not just thinking about it, but putting it into practice in everyday little things of life that really make a difference. Right. Thank you both.
Diana, real quickly before we let you go, please thank your deacon husband for being a deacon. And does he have a first name so I could put you both in the book?
Yes, Frank and Diana Martinez. Yes.
Love it. Well, I put your whole family in the book. Thank you so much. You said so many fantastic things today that we needed to hear. So God bless you. Have a beautiful rest of your Lent.
Fantastic call. Wow.
That was fantastic is right.
That is, you put all those ingredients that she mentioned in and stir them all up, and you've got a successful marriage. So good. I hope a lot of young people are listening, Debbie, who are thinking about marriage or maybe recently married, or even those who have been married a long time but haven't incorporated all of those things. So it's all about relationships. This is how this show works. Once a month, you guys, 833-288-3986. Get on board if you'd like to discuss a relationship, or maybe, again, just give a praise report for the relationship God has given you with a spouse or somebody else in your life.
Okay, so the number to dial is 833-288-3986. We're starting to get a lot of messages coming in via YouTube, or Jerry's waving to you. Did you share Betsy? May I share Betsy?
Please do.
Okay, she says, "Hi, Take Two family. I just want to give you a shout out to my husband Jimmy. He's my hero." This is from Betsy. "I have a lot of challenges physically, emotionally, etc., and he's always there for me. Jimmy, way to go. You are Betsy's hero. Well, now you're our hero as well, because that's amazing. That's a strong man committed to his wonderful wife. I love that. Great shout out, Betsy.
Okay, get that open phone line there, all about relationships at 833-288-3986. We'll go to Chris, who's in Illinois, been holding patiently and listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Chris, welcome.
Hey, hi. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Catholic radio has absolutely changed my life.
Beautiful.
In the best way. Hey, so my relationship question is, I have dear friends, family members, great Catholic people that I just know them well enough to know that they say they're pro-life, but I know they push the agenda of a political party that is pro-choice. And I find it hard for me not to say something. Sure. I don't want to be aggressive. I don't want to start a dispute. But I just question, how can you choose a political party over what God teaches us?
Okay, so Chris, let me just make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So you have family members and maybe friends that say they're pro-life or they're even in church, and then yet they're supporting other political situations that are in conflict with our Catholic teaching, right?
Said it.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay, thank you. Well, because welcome to everybody's world. This is what's happening in everybody's life right now. It's happening in my own family with friends and family as well. So it's welcome to the way we have this mess in the world. And what I would just say is that there's one word that comes to mind for me when this happens, and it's called compromise. Okay, people have compromised their belief and their understanding, and they've rationalized things and they've justified things based on their own personal situation. So they are in conflict. So they believe one thing, but they're doing another. They say they are a firm believer of the Catholic teaching, but then they go out in the world and they live a whole nother situation. They're in conflict. It's chaos. Where do we know chaos comes from? Well, we know that chaos and confusion and compromise does not come from God. Okay. So where does it come from? It comes from the evil one. Okay. So what does that mean? That means somehow the evil one has gotten in there and confused people greatly. I would say, if it were me, and it is me because I'm living it with friends and family members, we pray. We pray for clarity. We pray that their eyes are opened and they really see what's going on quickly, because it's getting faster and faster going off the cliff. So that's what I would say. To address it, I don't know if we necessarily have the words to convince people. We may just agitate them more and push them further away. I think we have to pray and fast more, because that's the only way to break the strongholds. And when the demons get in there, prayer and fasting is really the effective way to get them out of the circle. What do you think, Chris?
Yes, I love it, and I'm going to do my best to try to repeat what you said, and just...
You're so sweet.
I have been in conflict in my life over things, and I've been what do they call it, the grocery store, the supermarket, Catholic, and picked and
cafeteria,
choose what I wanted.
Yeah.
Cafeteria. And I'm telling you, you never feel the way you'll feel when you finally straighten yourself up and believe the way it's just like, I can't get enough of God now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Amen to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, I appreciate your answer and all the help you give everyone.
Well, and don't forget, Chris, every show is posted on the show website, take2show.com. Our producer, Ace McKay, gets them up there very shortly after each broadcast. So you said you hoped you could remember what Debbie said. Well, it's actually recorded for the entire world to hear from here until Jesus comes back. So you can go to take2show.com and look for today's show. And right about, I think you came on the air about 18 minutes after, so you can just click on that program and listen to it. Okay?
And yeah. And real quickly, Chris and Jerry, when in religious education, people will ask all the time, what does it take? What does it take for me to be a Christ follower? And the first thing we used to ask them is, what are you willing to change? What are you willing to give up? And they say, what do you mean? What do you mean? Isn't it supposed to be a happy, great thing that I'm following Christ? Well, what are you willing to change and what are you willing to give up? And when you start to look at people's lives, if they're unwilling to make changes in order to be in alignment with God's will, then I don't know what to share with people, because it's really not, when you look at it, a true Christ follower. So we are to embrace all of what Christianity has us doing, not just parts of it. So Chris, spot on. Thank you so much for the call. Jerry?
Joe in Louisiana, you will be up next. Hang on. Be patient just another couple of minutes. And we do have a couple of open phone lines here talking all about relationships. Any relationship you want, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Just getting underway, just starting out maybe. 833-288-3986.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN Bookmark Brief, speaking with Anthony DeStefano, author of the book Greenlee is Growing, available through our EWTN religious catalog. Tell us, Anthony, what is this children's book about?
It's about the 4 seasons of the year and how they correspond to the seasons of a person's life. The main character is a girl named Greenlee, and we meet her in the springtime of her childhood, and the book follows her through the summer of her youth and the autumn of her adulthood, and finally, by the end of the book, in the winter of her life. And my point in writing it was to try to show children not to be afraid of change, and to show them that in every season of life there's potential for great joy. Even at the end, there's potential for a new springtime, for resurrection.
Greenlee is Growing. The author, Anthony DeStefano, available through our EWTN religious catalog. Look for the entire interview I did with Anthony on this book on our EWTN YouTube channel. This has been a Bookmark Brief. Thanks for stopping by.
This is Jerry Usher. If you missed part of today's show, catch the encore tonight at midnight Eastern or anytime at EWTN Podcast Central. Visit us at EWTN.com/radio/podcasts.
I'm Jeanette DeMello, Editor-in-Chief of the National Catholic Register, and together with Matthew Bunson, I co-host Register Radio, where every week we talk to the Register's writers and editors about the news you need to know and offer authentic Catholic insight on the important stories that impact your life. Join us for Register Radio, Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, here on EWTN Global Catholic Radio.
Hi, this is Dr. David Anders. Do you have questions about the Catholic faith? Get the answers on Call to Communion, coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, back to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie.
This is our All About Relationships show here on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. You have plenty of time to still call in if you'd like to share, do a shout out to the ones you love, maybe share some relationship tools and tips and wisdom, just like a wonderful Diana did. And Chris was sharing what we're all encountering. So now is the time to do it. We are a safe family, safe platform to call in. This is where the lay faithful get to speak and to share their lived experiences. So don't miss this opportunity. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. Here's the number, 833-288-3986. And Jerry, before we get to Joe in Louisiana, let me just do a shout out to our great radio partners, Guadalupe Radio Network, with 40 plus stations in 6 states. They're airing their spring share-a-thon next week. So if you're listening to one of their stations in Texas, Kansas, Alabama, Florida, or Washington, D.C. and New Mexico, or anywhere, please support your Catholic radio station. So Guadalupe Radio Network's having their spring share-a-thon next week. Please please give generously. So many of you in that wonderful network call in to Take Two. But if you're listening anywhere in the world and your local Catholic radio network comes to you and says we're having some kind of pledge drive or fundraiser, please dig deep and share everything you can with time, talent, and treasure with your local Catholic radio station. And please remember EWTN.
Amen. 833-288-3986. Any relationship you want to talk about? Joe has one. He is in Lafayette, Louisiana, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Joe. Thanks for waiting.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, my relationship to talk about is the relationship between my wife and I. We're both cradle Catholics. Been married, anniversary coming up this month, as a matter of fact, 44 years. But 15 years ago, we hit a very rough patch where my wife filed for divorce, and after a few months, we reconciled, and then after a few months, she filed for divorce again, and we reconciled. And at that time, she said, okay, I'm done with filing for divorce, we're good. That's not going to happen again. However, from time to time, that comes back to haunt me, and it becomes, I start having thoughts as far as trust, and will she do it again? It's the most painful and hurtful time in my life, and it was inflicted by the person I love the most. And so I start replaying those things in my mind, as far as the wife wars and who done it, and eventually, I mean, she can read me like a book and say what's wrong, and then I'll tell her, and brings her to tears, and so, you know, my question is, how do I deal with it where I don't have to bring it up to her and hurt her with it? You know, as far as discernment of dealing with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, a couple questions, Joe. Did you and your wife seek any counseling during the couple times that this happened?
I did. I was always in favor of saving the marriage. We were seeing a counselor before. Mm-hmm. After the filings, we saw a Christian counselor, and the very first meeting, he met with her, he met with me. She told him that she wants the divorce. I told him I'd like to save it, and then from that point on, he says, I can work with you, but not with her. And
oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, okay. And then at that point, she had to go seek her own counseling.
Sure. Okay, so Joe, what you're experiencing, and just so you know, I've been a life coach for over 20 years, and I will tell you that I've heard your story many, many times. It's very hard when some level of trust has been broken in the marriage to have that sense of security and safety in the marriage sometimes, and then also that respect. Like Diana said it so beautifully about having that mutual respect and understanding between husband and wife. And Joe, it sounds like you guys almost need like a reset a little bit, where both of you can feel very confident in your path forward. You can feel secure, you can feel safe, and you build together on that trust. You build together. But if you don't come from the same kind of platform plan, sometimes everybody's, you know it, Joe, your emotions may be running high in a certain area and your wife may be disconnected in a different area. And then you come together and the rhythm of that goes up and down like a roller coaster sometimes. So I'm always a strong supporter of having folks get continual help around them when they are going through this to build the support, okay, and respect for each other. The support around you is important, but to build the support for each other, because Joe, you need support from your wife because you're dealing with some things still. I'm sure she needs support. Okay, so you guys have to figure out a plan with that. That can come from an exterior support system to help you with that. Great. But then to build the trust together, it should be a plan that you both work on for the rest of your life, actually. And it can only help, build that confidence, respect, and safety that I think you're longing for. There's other programs out there like Marriage Encounter and all sorts of programs. There's resources, Christian counseling, coaching, everything. And those are all the support system I'm talking about around you. But you guys need to support each other and be on the same plane, same wavelength. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, and that's what as I was listening, and you're talking about support, then my question would be, okay, by that, do you mean counseling? But then you explained just now that, if I understood it correctly, marriage retreats, for example, marriage encounter, things of that nature, and that I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have the outside support around your marital bubble, okay? You have the outside support like Marriage Encounter retreats, books, resources, counseling, coaching, okay? But then you guys need to support each other in it and the day-to-day basis, because it's not fair that you're having all these emotions and these feelings and you're thinking back on what happened. She can't read your mind, Joe. She can't read your mind. But if you guys have a support system in place for the two of you, there can be words you can say or things you can do to let the other one know, hey, I'm struggling right now. I need your help. I need your support to reinforce that I'm safe. I'm okay in this marriage. You're not going to hurt me, or something of that nature. It's a constant building of trust and support. But Jerry has a question he wants to insert here.
Well, I was thinking of asking you this, Deb, because you've been married. I have not. You have the most experience with coaching situations like this. 44 years of marriage. I'm wondering if they haven't done this already, maybe like go on a second honeymoon or something. Would that be kind of a way of that? You mentioned the reset. Maybe they can go back to the first days and sometime away, maybe in a special location, almost like a honeymoon again, could rekindle that to the point where they are right back where they started with that deep, deep love for each other.
Well, absolutely. And that will keep things alive. So I was going to say that too, Joe. Excellent, Jerry, to keep everything fresh and alive. But what I'm mainly tapping into, Joe, is your emotional kind of ups and downs, maybe with the feeling of, a lack of, there's a lack of trust, it's a hard thing. Once trust is broken, I've heard it said it takes a lifetime for people to build that trust back up again, because your memory is very strong. And I know people say they can forget things, but that's really not a true statement unless you have some kind of amnesia or something. What do you think, Joe?
I'm sorry, I'm chuckling at the amnesia because you're so right. You don't forget. You can forgive and so forth, so on, but you don't forget. And that's, I guess that's what I'm dealing with. The idea of the honeymoon is great because we didn't have much of one to begin with, but that would be a tremendous idea. And the trust. I mean, she asked me when we go through this, well, what do I have to do? I said, all I need to hear from you is that you love me and everything's okay, and that you can trust me and we're all good. And that's really all I need to hear.
Right. But Joe, real quickly, because this is important, you just tapped into that. So sometimes when you're feeling that lack of trust, if it comes up in a certain situation between the two of you, it might be maybe the not the right time, or it could hit some trigger buttons or hot buttons. And so that's why I was saying, if you guys went to somebody, a third party, and had a plan in place so that you don't have to feel insecure, Joe, and she doesn't have to feel like she's always proving herself, but just a reinforcement so you can feel safe again. That's really what I think you're asking for, and you have every right to ask for that, and she has every right to feel confident in the relationship as well. It can be a win-win if you have a plan in place.
Okay, so to be clear, that I understand, then you're saying counseling or some kind of marriage retreat or something, or specifically?
Yeah, and I would...
What you prefer. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my suggestion, but you do whatever you feel best after proper prayer and discernment. But I would say to have that kind of retreat or counseling or coaching or something of that nature, to have the third person say, hey, it looks like you want the same goal, you want the same outcome, you want to stay married till the end of your life here. And so all we need is a couple things in place so that both parties can feel very confident moving forward and secure in their path. And it's done very easily. I wouldn't go back and replay everything and dig up everything and all the filing of divorces and everything. That's just going to start all the emotions again. I would go forward, Joe. Okay?
Right. I mean, as a side note, some thoughts I've had is that I'm guessing maybe I have a little touch of PTSD from it as far as it's reoccurring and the way it comes up emotionally and so forth.
Well, yeah, because it is traumatic, Joe. You have a union with your wife. The two shall become one. You said you're cradle Catholics, and then that trust is broken. That's a big blow to the heart, Joe. It hits hard and it doesn't go away easily. So that's why if everybody can enter into a beautiful, conscious, focused, intentional plan to heal, you guys can really see tremendous blessings and graces come from it. I've seen miracles, Joe.
Yep.
Nope.
Hey,
okay.
That sounds great.
Okay, you got it. If you need any other additional help, feel free to reach out to us, okay?
Sure enough. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. Wow, great calls today, talking all about relationships. It's your show, so we look forward to hearing from you. If there's something you would like to discuss about a relationship at 833-288-3986. We're going to continue along here. Jack is listening on Sirius XM 130 in the Midwest. Hello, Jack. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I could have just listened to that last call and had all my my questions answered. But right now, I'm sitting out in front of the cathedral, waiting for Mass and listening to your show. And I thought, good time to call. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of similar problems that your last caller had. And, what I've been doing right now, and I'm kind of struggling with this, is, I've been praying a surrender novena. And it's like a sick person going to the doctor and telling the doctor what to fix. Now, I feel kind of bad about myself because I'm not totally surrendering and letting Christ do his work. Mm-hmm. And I'm not quite sure how to move forward with that.
Sure.
Because I tried, I'm a guy and I'm a fixer. Mm-hmm. And, I just think there's room for me, but I don't want to get in the road of God's work either.
Sure. Okay, so a couple suggestions, Jack. Thank you for listening. And I don't think there was any accident that Joe called in. And as a matter of fact, we're getting a lot of messages coming in from a lot of men today that are kind of struggling. And typically men are the fixers. They want to fix the situation quickly. They don't really want people in their business. They just want to move forward and keep going on with life. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a very protective thing. It's a very strong masculine quality. However, we're in a world that is really hard, and it's really hitting marriages in many ways. It's like the Swiss cheese thing. You just keep poking holes in it like crazy. That's what the demons are doing, and it's really penetrating the marital bubble, and it's not good. And people are struggling, and they're trying to hold the relationships together, and it's tough because we have the love there, but the world is just coming into our marriage. And so, Jack, this is just my suggestion, and pray about it. Keep doing the surrender novena. There's no accident that you called in, Jack. There's no accident that you listened to Joe's call. Okay? In the surrender novena, we turn everything over to God. Jesus, you take the wheel. Jesus, we trust in you. Jesus, you've got this covered. Well, Jesus is going to bring people into your life or conversations like this to have you open up and expand what your options are. I would say get a very solid support team around you and your wife, with maybe some spiritual direction, some counseling, Christian counseling or coaching, and some real support for the two of you by way of resources that you can pray and read together, and really work hard on your marriage and stay in your bubble. My husband and I do a talk on this, and the folks in Texas will remember this. In Dallas, we do a whole talk on the marital bubble. You don't let anything pop that bubble, because if anything gets in that bubble with you, you're gonna spend the rest of your energy during the day trying to get that out of between the two of you, and that's not good. So you want to really focus on the two of you, and there's support out there. I personally believe in the Surrender Novena. It's also a chance for you to move out of the way and let God work in your marriage and help the two of you. So it's a beautiful thing. I would stay strong with the Surrender Novena, but also be looking out for a support team around you to help you and your wife in any which way you can, Jack.
So one of the other issues, and we've been married for 5.5 years, and, I shared some indiscretions in my past life, 25 years ago. And I think that has created some sort of insecurity with her because this issue keeps coming up. But these are things, I've apologized. I've repented. I haven't repeated, those sort of things. But this is the one thing that keeps coming up, and that is the roadblock in our marriage. Now, also, a month ago, we had we were all signed up for a Retrovi weekend, which, I thought would be a great deal. But it seemed like it got sabotaged, kind of like at the last minute. So, I want to get back into, that frame of mind where we both can, like you said, previous callers, support each other, nothing.
Right.
So,
but Jack, Retrovi would be great. I would definitely look back into that. Remember, you're in Lent, so you're going to get a lot of resistance. So keep moving ahead and kind of getting through that. But Retrovi would be great. There's other retreat and marriage assistance out there as well. But Jack, here's the thing: it's the same exact thing. She needs to feel safe and secure. Not that she thinks that anything's going to repeat, but it's in her mind. Once it gets in her mind, it's hard to get that out of a person's emotions. So, but the thing about it is that it can work. But again, the plan has to be in place. And the only way to really, sometimes couples will therapize each other. They'll try to work on each other. That's not the best way. You really need like an outside person to kind of help you with the plan. And then you guys, work your best through that plan together. So there's a ton of help out there, but I will tell you that most people get triggered because they have their own wounds from their childhood that they're bringing into the marriage. So you've got to take that into consideration too. You've got the whole childhood coming into the marriage as well. So Jack, the good news is there's help out there. Just please, have your eyes wide open for it. And if you can have a chance to do Retrovi, I think it would be wonderful. Jared, what do you think?
I can't add anything to all of that great advice, Jack. I would be praying for you. I'm just reminded of a quote that I read from Matthew Kelly many years ago. He said, there comes a time in everyone's life when the only thing that matters is doing the will of God. For you, that time is now. And so when we hear that every day is our time to surrender to God, you're talking about surrendering, and God's will comes about most fruitfully and beautifully in our lives when we are totally surrendered to God. I get it, Jack. I pray to Father Delindo Ruotolo. He gave us the Surrender Novena. I pray to him many times a day, actually. And so I know surrendering is really, really hard, but we'll pray that you can do that because like Debbie was saying, if you, when you surrender, God is going to let graces flow like a torrent in not only to you, but through you into your marriage. Yep. So God honors surrender and people doing his will so much. He loves that.
Perfect.
Okay, Jeff. All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Keep us posted, Jack. Yeah. We'll be praying, okay?
I will, and thank you very much.
Thank you for calling. Joel, hold on. We'll get to you. I just want to mention Light of the East Radio, Sunday mornings at 11:30 Eastern Time on EWTN Radio. This week, Father Thomas Loya and his guests explore the great saints of the ascetical life, and they are put before our eyes at this point in the Great Fast, like St. John Climacus, St. Mary of Egypt, St. Andrew of Crete. As St. John Paul II said, monasticism is the reference point for all of the baptized. That's Light of the East Radio with Father Thomas Loya, Sundays, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on EWTN Radio.
Okay, Joel is up next, waiting so patiently in Ontario. Jerry, please wave to him on YouTube. Hello, Joel.
Hi, Joel.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Okay, so I have a friend named Zach who his mother passed away a year and a half ago. I called like a few times about praying for her. She had cancer, and she passed away. But she was I think in the last moment she had final part of perseverance, even though something bad happened like in the room. But I think she had found perseverance because I think I saw like her in heaven at the funeral, like a little vision or something. I let Zach know, okay, and he was happy about that. But right now he's kind of isolating himself and drinking and gambling and stuff like that. Okay, so I like to pray for him so that he gets more involved in the community and so that he is able to accept what happened. Okay, and
Joel, go ahead, please. Finish.
To love everyone and just trust people and stuff like that.
Right. Well, Joel, I don't know how old you are. You sound fairly young. I imagine Zach was a fairly young man. Is his? We're sorry to hear that his mother passed away. Does he have? Is his father in his life? Does he have siblings? Does he have any other family members that could kind of rally around him at this point?
Was divorced. Okay, so he lives alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those tough ones right now. He's going through a lot. I know what it's like to be from a divorced family, and it causes some issues along the way. Those issues are not insurmountable. God is very, very ready and willing and able to provide healing. But I would just say, Joel, be the best friend you can be to Zach right now. Model your faith. Maybe you can get him out of the house, and the two of you can do some things that don't involve, the drinking and some of these other things and the isolation and all of that he's submitting himself to right now. You never know. I mean, we don't know what tomorrow brings, but we're assured of what we're assured of is today, right now. And so you're a great friend, Joel, for calling in about Zach right now. And I can promise you one thing, and Debbie, you might have some comments, but our entire listening family, Joel, Take Two family around the world, will be praying for Zach in this very important intention.
Absolutely. Joel, you're a great friend. Thanks for praying for Zach. We're going to be praying for him as well. I would just, any chance you get to encourage him to go to some kind of grief support group or something, because the gambling, the drinking, those are all escapes from reality of what's really happening, and he's just hurting. And so we need to pray harder so that he gets the right people that come into focus, or the right groups, or even books even that can help him through this time of grief. And we'll be praying for everybody involved, including his mom that passed away, Joel. So thank you for sharing and giving us an update, but keep us updated, okay?
Okay. Would you also be able to pray for Gabe Newell and everyone that works in his company, so that they're more open and trusting to be able to make good products? Because at one point I wanted to help them, okay, but I don't know if they want my help. But anyway, yeah.
You said Gabriel is the other one, Joel?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gabe Newell.
Gabriel.
Okay. He's got a company called Valve Software.
Okay.
So I would like him to be prayed for, so that the company is able to make good products that have good
good success as a company. Yeah. Joel, be assured of the prayers for all of those intentions that you mentioned right now, including you. We're going to pray that you be that beautiful, holy, godly example for Zach, and really help to bring him maybe closer to God through all of this.
Thank you, Joel. Jerry, tomorrow's topic is not ashamed. What do you wear that displays your faith to others? That's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. In the meantime, thank you to our show team today, as always. It was Ace, and I think Michael was on social media, and Matt Gubensky on the phones. Jeff Burson is usually around as well. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the program. Until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. And St. Joseph, please pray for all of us.
The most original and exclusive Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.